येवकार सगळे बसून घेयात. ह्या कार्यावळीक रोखडीच सुरवात जाता. As we know, today's event or today's day is full of events for Goa State Biodiversity Board. They had two functions in the morning. One at Margao, that is first community seed bank of Goa, inaugurated. Then Goan Sales Center and Navadhanya Center is also inaugurated. And now we have a beautiful session, that is interactive session with Dr. Vandana Shiva, and Honorable CM is present here. सगळ्यांक माय मोगाचो येवकार दिता. चड वेळ घेनासतना गोवा स्टेट बायोडायवर्सिटी बोर्डाचे मेंबर सेक्रेटरी डॉक्टर प्रदीप सरमोकादम तशेंच ह्या कार्यावळीच्यो कन्व्हिनर डॉक्टर स्नेहा भागवत तांच्या लागीं मागता की तांणी ह्या कार्यावळीचे मुखेल सोयरे ऑनरेबल CM डॉक्टर प्रमोद सावंत, आयच्यो मुखेल उलोवपी डॉक्टर वंदना शिवा तशेंच एनवायरमेंट मिनिस्टर श्री निलेश काब्राल हांकां घेवन माचयेर येवचें. सगळ्यांक खबर आसा गोवा स्टेट बायोडायवर्सिटी बोर्ड हो फाटलीं कितलींशींच वर्सां गोंयची जैव विविधताय वाचोवपाक, संरक्षीत करपाक वावुरता. कितल्योश्योच कार्यावळी आखता आनी ह्या सगळ्या कार्यावळींनी वेळ काडून आज ही एक मुखेल अशी कार्यावळ हांगा आंखल्या. इंटरॅक्शन विथ डॉक्टर वंदना शिवा. चड वेळ घेनासतना हांव मागता आमचे MS गोवा स्टेट बायोडायवर्सिटी बोर्डाचे डॉक्टर प्रदीप सरमोकादम की तांणी सगळ्यांक येवकार दिवचो.
Welcome to all of you. From Goa State Biodiversity Board, Honorable CM of Goa, Honorable Chairperson of Goa State Biodiversity Board and Honorable Minister for Environment Climate Change, Shri Nilesh Kabral sir. Most importantly, the person for whom all of you have come, Dr. Vandana Shiva, she is here. So we extend a warm welcome to her from the state of Goa, Goa State Biodiversity Board, and Sneha Bhagwat, who is convener of this program. I would like to only say that today there are series of programs. We inaugurated Community Seed Bank, and there are series of activities that Biodiversity Board takes place. Without going much into the details, in 4-5 minutes I would like to say that we constituted biodiversity committees at each village panchayat as per the Biodiversity Act. These BMCs are constituted. Then the second thing was preparing people's biodiversity registers for all the village panchayats. Now here we have set up a new standard, and in the whole country it has been appreciated that our people's registers are a detailed documentation of not only biodiversity but the traditional knowledge associated with bioresources. And we are the only state who is validating these PBRs at 3 levels. That is at BMC, village panchayat, and a state level committee thoroughly validates it, and then we derive the conservation focus. So like this we have derived several conservation focus, and Biodiversity Board was responsible in reviving the watermelon of Parra. That Parrachi Kalanga variety was revived, the seed was lost. That was by Biodiversity Board. Also the Patni rice variety which was lost from Goa, we had done efforts to revive it through Kurtorim Biodiversity Committee, and then we realized that only reviving varieties is not essential. People should get money. So we created a Go One brand, and this Go One word is coined by Honorable CM of Goa, because this Go One is not GOAN but GOVAN. So go to forest, connect to nature, and how to harvest minor forest produce. So that brand is created, umbrella brand for the state, through which all the people of Goa can sell their produce under that brand. Then we have set up under the project 2 multi-processing centers, one in Pali and one in Pontemol, wherein the women are working and they are earning livelihood, and whatever remains goes back to the conservation. So this is a project with conservation and livelihood. Then we have a plantation scheme. We have taken more than 6.2 lakhs trees are planted under MOPA compensatory plantation scheme throughout Goa, out of which almost more than 50% is in Pedne Taluka itself. A 16-kilometer pipeline of water was laid to ensure water for these orchards, so that these plants are not only planted but they survive, and IWST, third party, is appointed to see the survivability. I am happy to convey that the survivability is more than 80% for the project. Then there is another sand mining study being done of its own type in the state of Goa with river biodiversity indices, and then compensatory landslide committee we were involved in identifying. Then Spurti scheme, wherein 4 clusters have been approved for the first time in Goa, wherein chili, jaggery, paddy, and most importantly, food cluster has been also approved for Goa, and the DPR is being prepared. Then we are a key state technical institute wherein we work with director industries. So you see, biodiversity and connecting livelihood through industry is a wide range of diverse range that we have tried to achieve, wherein we have developed baseline research study wherein coconut and jackfruit were analyzed. Lastly, 2 things I would like to say. Today, the community seed bank wherein Bij Mitra card will be given. Today also, now we will be giving 3 Bij Mitra card. And lastly, biodiversity management plans, branding, packaging, state level upgradation plan. All these activities are being done by Biodiversity Board through the support of Honorable CM and Honorable Minister for Environment. So with that brief activity report of Goa State Biodiversity Board, there is a lot, but I would like to just flag few. And it is only possible because of people's participation and the support from all the authorities. We are very happy to have you all here, and we are eager to listen to the further speakers. Thank you very much. Welcome.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Pradeep Sarmokadam, MS of Goa State Biodiversity Board. As you know, Goa State Biodiversity Board is into a lot of things, doing wonderful job from last so many years. Thank you, sir. Now, I would request all the dignitaries to light the traditional lamp and inaugurate this session. Honorable CM, Dr. Pramodji Sawant, Dr. Vandana Shiva, Honorable Minister for Environment, this program is inaugurated by lighting the traditional lamp by Dr. Vandana Shiva. Then we have Honorable CM, Dr. Pramodji Sawant, Minister Environment, Shri Nilesh Kabral, convener of the program, Dr. Sneha Bhagwat, and Member Secretary of Goa State Biodiversity Board, Dr. Pradeep Sarmokadam. Thank you. We know we have to spare more time to our Dr. Vandana Shiva, so I'll be a bit fast in going ahead with the program. We would like to welcome our dignitaries with Goan basket. Goan basket, आता basket म्हणप काय गोवन पोटलो खोटलो कितें म्हणया सांगात. वजें म्हळ्यार मोठें दिसतलें. गोवन बास्केट दिवन आमी सगळे डिग्निटरीचे आतां तांकां वेलकम करया. आमचे ऑनरेबल एनवायरमेंट मिनिस्टर निलेश काब्राल हांच्या लागीं मागता की तांणी आमचे मुखेलमंत्री डॉक्टर प्रमोद सावंत हांकां गोवन बास्केट दिवन तांकां येवकार दिवचो. तातूंत आसात गोंयचें जैवीक भांडार, आवळो आसा, काजू आसा आनी कोरगूट तांदूळ आसा. खारे मातयेन जाल्ले सॉल्ट टॉलरंट अशे कोरगूट तांदूळ आसा. ताजे उपरांत ऑनरेबल CM लागीं मागता की तांणी आयच्यो मुखेल उलोवपी डॉक्टर वंदना शिवा हांकां गोवन बास्केट दिवन तांकां येवकार दिवचो. आमचे मेंबर सेक्रेटरी प्रदीप सरमोकादम हांचे लागीं मागता की तांणी आमचे मंत्री निलेश बाब काब्राल हांकां हें बास्केट दिवचें. तशेंच ह्या प्रोग्रामाच्यो कन्व्हिनर डॉक्टर स्नेहा भागवत हांकांय तांणी गोवन बास्केट दिवचें. बीज मित्र ही कार्डां आतांच आमी डिस्ट्रिब्यूट करता कार्यक्रमांत मातसो बदल करून. बीज मित्र ही कार्डां फावो जाल्ले निष्ठा नरेंद्र गावडे हांचे लागीं मागता आनी मानादीक मुखेलमंत्र्यांगे लागीं मागता की तांणी तांकां हें कार्ड प्रदान करचें. निष्ठा नरेंद्र गावडे. निशिता नरेंद्र गावडे. हे बीज मित्र तुमकां ऑथेंटीक अश्यो बियो गोंयच्यो दिवपाक तांचे कडेन आसतले. तांचे कडेन यात आनी त्यो बियो घेवन वचात. ताजे नंतर सुविधा लक्ष्मण गांवकर. 3 आसा. 3 कुष्ट भिसो वेळीप आयल्यात. हं? आयच्यो मुखेल उलोवपी रेनाउंड एनवायरमेंटलिस्ट डॉक्टर वंदना शिवा हांचेंय आमी आज स्वागत करता आनी तांकां एक ल्हानशी भेटवस्तू दिता. मुखेलमंत्री डॉक्टर प्रमोद सावंत हांचे लागीं मागता की तांणी डॉक्टर वंदना शिवा हांकां आमचो स्टेट बर्ड रुबी थ्रोटेड येलो बुलबुल देव बरें करूं. ओके. हर्बल कोला आतां लॉन्च जाता. आमच्या कार्यकर्ते लागीं मागता की तांणी तें माचयेर घेवन येवचें. या आणि हर्बल कोला बद्दलची माहिती दितात आमचे MS डॉक्टर प्रदीप सर मुकादम.
We would like to invite Sachin Rane on the dais because this product has been developed by Team 24 for Goan project. He's there. Sachin Rane, please come on the dais. And this is from the nutmeg syrup. What remains, the nutmeg apple which is wasted has been converted, and we feel that this would be a greatest product. Thank you.
लॉन्च ऑफ गोवन कोला. सगळ्यांनी मोठे ताळे मारून तांचे स्वागत करचें, येवकार दिवचो. Marketed by Goa State Biodiversity Board. Yes.
I've never touched Coca-Cola. This is good.
Thanks to Sachin for such a great research.
The biggest task before me is to introduce Dr. Vandana Shiva. She is founder and chief functionary of Navadhanya Trust. Dr. Vandana Shiva is trained as physicist and did her PhD on the subject Hidden Variables in Non-Locality in Quantum Theory from the University in Canada. She later shifted to interdisciplinary research in science, technology and environmental policy, which she carried out at the Indian Institute of Science and the Indian Institute of Management, Bengaluru in India. In 1982, she founded an independent institute, the Research Foundation for Science, Technology and Ecology, RFSTE, in Dehradun, dedicated to high quality and independent research to address the most significant ecological and social issues of our times, in close partnership with, this is very important, in close partnership with local communities and social movement. In 1982, the Ministry of Environment invited RFSTE to carry out a study on the ecological impact of limestone quarrying in Doon Valley, which became the basis of a historic Supreme Court judgment. From 1982 to 1987, Dr. Shiva coordinated the program on conflicts over natural resources for the United Nations University, which led to path-breaking publications, Ecology and the Politics of Survival and the Violence of the Green Revolution. From 1987 to 1991, RFSTE evolved a spatial program on biodiversity conservation. In 1991, Dr. Shiva founded Navadhanya Trust, an independent legal entity dedicated to conservation of biodiversity and service to rural communities. Dr. Shiva is a biodiversity conservation pioneer, having contributed in significant ways to the UN Convention on Biological Diversity at the Earth Summit in Rio in 1992 and its protocols. In 1994, she worked with 1 lakh locals of the community in Pattuvam in Kerala to create the first community biodiversity register, that is CBR, documenting indigenous knowledge. She is the president of the International Biodiversity Congress, IBC, a platform of biodiversity scientists from India and across the world. In 2000, she started the Earth University, an international college and biodiversity learning center for sustainable living at the Navadhanya Biodiversity Center in Doon Valley in collaboration with the Green College, UK. Then Earth University provides a living learning center to learn from nature and biodiversity, indigenous knowledge and sustainable production and consumption pattern. Through her books, Biodiversity Conservation, Staying Alive, Ecofeminism, Making Peace with the Earth, Earth Democracy, Biopiracy, Stolen Harvest, Water Wars, Origins, Dr. Shiva has made visible the social, economic and ecological cost of non-sustainable development and the path of sustainability. खूपशे सांगपासारखे आसात. डॉक्टर वंदना शिवा हांचे पर्यावरण राखणे संबंधीचें काम मोठें आसा. घडये पर्यावरण राखणे खातीर तांणी आपली जीण ओंपली अशें म्हळ्यार अतिताय जावची ना. नवधान्य ट्रस्ट ह्या तांच्या संस्थे मार्फत तांणी जैव विविधताय राखचे खातीर दोळे दिपकावपी कामां केल्यांत. गांवगिऱ्या वाठारांत रावपी गांवकऱ्यांक घेवन जैव विविधतायेची राखण करप आनी गांवकऱ्यांक लागीं हाडल्यार कशें काम जाता तें परिणामकारक रितीन दाखोवन दिवप हें तांणी वळखलें आनी ते दिकेन तांच्या ह्या नवधान्य संस्थेन काम सुरू केलें. जैव विविधताय राखणे कामाची आनी देशाचे कृषी मंत्री ते हेर देशांच्या प्रधानमंत्र्या मेरेन तांच्या कामाची वळख आसा. बियांचो इश्ट डॉक्टर वंदना शिवा हांचें मोठ्या ताळयांनी स्वागत करचें आनी तांचे लागीं मागता. मॅडम, नाव द फ्लोर इज योर्स, प्लीज.
Honorable Chief Minister, Honorable Minister of Environment and Climate Change, Dr. Sneha Bhagwat, Dr. Pradeep, for whom I have been to the state before for biodiversity. We are all biodiversity. We seem to forget it. My life's biodiversity journey started 5 decades ago in the Himalayan forests when a beautiful movement started. Women of Garhwal realized that every time forests were cut, there were landslides, there were floods, and then the next season there were drought. So spontaneously they said, we will hug the trees. We will do the chipko of the trees. And when everyone said, but cutting the trees leads to growth, forests are timber mines, they woke up the world. Even before the Stockholm Conference on Climate Change, on environment, that forests are the sources of our oxygen, of our water, and the stabilizers of our soil. They are the preventers of floods and drought. And as they said, kya hai jangal ke upkar, mitti, pani aur bayar. They changed the thinking of science, of development, of ecology. And in a way, I went to the University of Western Ontario to study quantum theory, but in a way I went to CHIPCO to study biodiversity. It is my biodiversity university, and my teachers were women who've never been to school or college or university, and I was so happy to both be in the launch of the community seed bank this morning, because I've dedicated my life to saving seeds in the commons, preventing patenting of seeds, making sure our national laws recognize that we do not invent life. Life is not a human invention, and therefore Article 3J of our patent law, and I worked with our parliament on it, says plants, animals, seeds and their parts thereof are not human inventions, therefore they are not patentable. This is the one clause that has saved the biodiversity of this country. There's another law called the Farmers' Rights and Plant Variety Protection and Farmers' Rights Act. That law has protected the farmers and recognized that farmers are the first breeders. We are the land which evolved 200,000 varieties of rice. 200,000. This morning we saw so many varieties, including the salt-tolerant varieties, which will become increasingly important with climate change. They were always relevant because you could have fish in one season and rice in the next. But the monoculture of the mind could only see only rice or only fish. So they created shrimp aquaculture and destroyed the coastline. And they created monocultures of rice in Punjab and destroyed the land and rivers of Punjab. We had saved seeds. When I started to save seeds, we said quite clearly, neither nature nor our ancestors were stupid. If they evolved a variety, it has a purpose. So we will save everything we find. We will not say, is it useful, is it not useful? Among the seeds we had saved were salt-tolerant varieties, like the salt-tolerant varieties that were in the seed bank this morning and are grown in the community where we went. In Orissa, a super cyclone hit in 1999. We had saved salt-tolerant rices. We could distribute them to farmers. Orissa farmers then distributed 2 truckloads of salt-tolerant seeds to help the Tamil Nadu farmers when the tsunami hit and devastated the agriculture. The Tamil Nadu government had said, now we'll have to have an agriculture holiday for 5 years because there is no way, with the salt on the land and the pollution from the sea, that the farmers can grow food. And we said, but we have salt-tolerant seeds, that in spite of the salinity, food will grow. Within one season, cheers to the nutmeg fruit pulp. So in times of climate change, these seeds are even more important, but they're vital for our health, because the entire idea of chemical agriculture was to grow monocultures of a few varieties to sell more chemicals. That was the purpose. I've written a book called The Violence of the Green Revolution, when I tried to understand why Punjab was devastated and why Punjab farmers rose in revolt in 1984 and again last year. The economy of the land, of the soil, of the farmer goes down when chemicals are introduced. Biodiversity is the alternative. Everything that chemicals are made for can be done better by biodiversity. Whether it's, synthetic fertilizers are clumsy instruments. They're instruments of war. Biodiversity, regeneration of the soil, you can give it any name. You can call it biodynamic, permaculture, organic, natural, give it any name. We are the land of Bahuda, where we never have one word for anything because everything has many facets. Everything has many descriptions. So understanding diversity is understanding our civilization. Both the richness of our civilization of working with the diversity of nature to create abundance for our needs. Why was Goa such a prosperous land? Why is the Himalayas such a prosperous land? It's the biodiversity and the co-creation and co-production with biodiversity that gave us the abundance and prosperity. And in a way, the whole regeneration of the awareness of biodiversity is allowing us to redefine prosperity beyond fossil fuels, beyond chemicals. Fossil fuels and chemicals give an agriculture and food system that is responsible for 50% of greenhouse gases, 80% of the disappearance of biodiversity, 75% of the destruction of soil and water resources, and 75% chronic diseases. We are here partly for the health concerns of food. Food is health, and the wonderful exhibition of food. If everyone was eating like that, there would be no problems of the chronic diseases that we see. And I do hope that Goa, by conserving its biodiversity, will lead health. Our work has shown that not only does biodiversity produce more nutrition and health per acre, it actually increases biodiversity everywhere. Our soils have 3,600% more mycorrhizal fungi, which are the true creators of fertility in soil. Research has shown that 500% increase in production takes place when the fungi population increases. If you take care of the soil, that biodiversity will increase. And I was very happy to talk to the member secretary of the Biodiversity Board that you are creating a new sustainable agriculture indicator on the basis of biodiversity, both the biodiversity of the soil, the biodiversity of the plants, and I would say biodiversity of insects, because biodiversity insects is a sure way to never need pesticides. Insects are the best control to prevent one insect becoming an epidemic and causing pest damage. On our farm, we have lots of insects. We have pollinators that are 6 times more than in the forest. And our research has shown that if pollinators are allowed to be in your field, we have a 30% increase in production. So the soil organisms, the earthworms, are our co-producers. The insects are our co-producers. The biodiversity of plants cultivated, and as that beautiful exhibition shows, uncultivated wild foods. We will have to widen our biodiversity base in order to address the issue of malnutrition and chronic diseases because of the hyper-industrial processing, including the future imagination of some people who'd like to make more money by lab food and fake food. And they say future farming is farming without farmers. Future food is food without farms. Future fish is fish without water and without the ocean. And given that here in beautiful Goa, you have wonderful biodiversity of plants and wonderful biodiversity of waters and fish, you will defend the authenticity of the true food system, which is the circulation of nutrition. And the circulation of nutrition which also gives us health. My work has shown that the biodiversity of the soil creates more nutrients for the plants. Biodiversity-rich plants give us more health. Biodiversity of food nourishes our gut microbiome. 100 trillion companions we walk around with. If we take care of them, the planet will be healthy, we will be healthy. If we neglect them, or we are violent with them, we let them be fed toxics, glyphosate, pesticides, monocultures. That's the beginning of all disease, and now science is recognizing it. Because our minister is also the Minister of Climate Change, and we are living in a period of climate havoc, I'd like to just help remind us all that biodiversity is the reason we have a livable climate for the human species. This planet was a dead planet. The Earth started to create microorganisms in plants which, through photosynthesis, could take the carbon dioxide, use the free sunshine, give us food, and give us oxygen. A 98% richness of carbon dioxide in the oxygen was reduced to 0.03%. The temperature of this planet from 270 degrees was reduced to 13 degrees. That cooling of the planet that comes with biodiversity is the kind of cooling we have to not just participate in, to not allow the constant devastation like climate change, but also to face the huge extremes that are predicted. Already 17%, look at just from morning till now, I'm grateful that the rain just came in 5 minutes. It came while we were opening the community seed bank, and it came just before we were walking over for this evening function. Extremes will grow. The extremes require that we turn more to biodiversity to protect this fragile earth, both in farming systems as well in forests. And I do hope the wonderful lessons I learned from Chipko and the people of Goa have learned over the years. The people of Kerala, sadly, have suffered floods because their forests were destroyed. With the heavy monsoon the Western Ghats get, we cannot afford our forests cover and biodiversity of our forests to be devastated. I have been repeatedly asked, and especially when people came to know I'd be with you, Honorable Chief Minister, to please give a thought to Mole, which is your Chipko. Please take care of it. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Understanding our biodiversity is understanding our own civilization. Great. Madam, we salute your work and your commitment towards conservation of biodiversity. I know everyone from here will take this inspiring words and thoughts and ideas from Dr. Vandana Shiva. Big round of applause to Dr. Vandana Shiva. Thank you, ma'am. And now I request our Honorable Minister of Environment, Shri Nilesh Cabral, to say a few words on this occasion.
Honorable Chief Minister, Honorable Madam Dr. Vandana Shiva, Member Secretary, Biodiversity Board, Dr. Pradeep, Organizer of this function, Dr. Sneha, all the other dignitaries of the dais, I will not name any, my dear friends, brothers, sisters, and my press brothers and sisters. Well, I don't have to speak because she has spoken. And when she has spoken at the end, she has asked us to do something. But I would like to tell Dr. Vandana Shiva that the Honorable Supreme Court in the SEC has decided for it. And they have told us how to go about it for the Maulia part of the infrastructure project which is coming. And the existing 2 lines which are bringing the power are to be dismantled and the new line has to be put. So whatever she has in mind, that a lot of trees will be cut, I think with that issue is almost settled. But anyhow, taking a step further, I've been with Dr. Vandana from morning 9 o'clock onwards, and this is my 4th program with her. And her ideas and her strength which has come into her is, I will not say her age because we all know, but we are so much different from what she is. And seeing her, I feel I don't know how to match. I feel like living with her and seeing how she's taking her steps forward in her life, because she is involved in a lot of things, good things for our country. Whereas politicians are to be blamed, we always get blamed. But that is part of a system which the blame comes, because you have to manage both the systems. You have to manage the economy, you have to manage the people, you have to manage the society, and you have to manage the environment. When all this thing comes, then the political class comes into it, because if you are one side, if you are environmentalist, you manage only that. If you are a socialist, you manage only that. But when a political class comes, you have to manage all 4, and that is why the politician is at the brunt of everything. So anyhow, that's a story which we all know, but still we are blamed for, and we wherever we can do something good, people like Dr. Vandana Shiva and many others bring to our notice. And I know that Dr. Honorable Chief Minister, at least in the state of Goa, Dr. Pramod Sawant, has been trying to see that whatever we can do, part of the system, we are part of it. Not talking much, there are many other functions where I think I can share a lot of wonderful thoughts of Dr. Vandana Shiva. I would like to thank her for dedicating herself here. She invited us for seeing her seed bank, and we are fortunate today that what she produces from the wild. We have opened a counter today at Goa Tourism Development Corporation's Panjim Residency, where Dr. Sneha Bhagat, who has got a Urja center there, wherever she has conserved, I told her that I am going to be part of the 9 seed milnut where I am going to eat that particular atta, because it's going to give me, I think, something what she can see radiance in her. So I am going to be part of that system from tomorrow onwards. Well, there are a lot of things to learn from her. I will not take much of her time. Honorable CM is there who will speak. And I can only vouch for one thing, is Dr. Vandana has invited us into her center. And I think all of us here who are eager will come out with something where we should also learn from her. And the Biodiversity Board will be associated with Dr. Vandana Shiva, and all the farmers or all the people who are interested in taking her footsteps forward. I think we will all work in these directions. Once again, I thank Dr. Vandana Shiva for dedicating her day and time, and Dr. Sneha for making this happen. Thank you. God bless you all. Thank you.
देव बरें करूं श्री काब्राल बाब. आमकां खबर आसा आमचे मुखेलमंत्री एक विजनरी आसात, एक यंग लिडर आसात, आणि गोंय मुखार व्हरपा खातीर वेगवेगळे प्रकल्प चालीक लायतात. हालींच पर्यावरणा संदर्भात जे खूब सांगपाचें आसा ते म्हळ्यार सेव सॉयल ईशा फावंडेशना कडेन जे MOU सायन केला, मेमोरंडम ऑफ अंडरस्टँडिंग, एक मोठी स्टेप पर्यावरण संदर्भातली गोंयची आनी ह्या संदर्भातल्यान एक चळवळ त्या दिसा चालीक लागली अशें म्हळ्यार अतिशय जावचें ना. जशें काब्राल बाबान म्हळें की डेव्हलपमेंट आणि पर्यावरण आणि पर्यटन हे सगळें राखून आमकां सगळें सांबाळचें पडटा. तातूंत एक बॅलन्स सांबाळपाचें काम आमचे मानार मुखेलमंत्री करतात. डॉक्टर प्रमोदजी सावंत तुमचे लागीं मागता की ह्या समयार आपलें भाशण हांगा करचें.
गोवा स्टेट बायोडायवर्सिटी बोर्ड हांच्यांनी आयोजीत केल्ल्या ह्या इंटरॅक्टीव सेशनाक आमच्या मदीं डॉक्टर वंदना शिवा हांगासर आसात. आमचे एनवायरमेंट मिनिस्टर मिस्टर निलेश काब्राल, प्रदीप सर मुकादम, स्नेहा भागवत. हांव प्रोग्रामाचेर वयच्या पयलीं 2-3 मिनटांच उलयता, कारण निलेशान जो विशय सुरवात केलो for the small state like Goa, 3,702 kilometers. एके साइडीतल्यान समुद्र, दुसरे साइडीतल्यान Western Ghat, and with the 66% of the tree cover, with the 33% of the forest, we are maintaining the CRZ, दुसरे साइडीतल्यान Western Ghats. We want to maintain the wildlife sanctuaries also, and villages that the notification today had come. Eco-sensitive zone. Everything we are maintaining. We are not saying no to any. Everything. आणि हे सुतुल्यान वाट सगळे काडटा आसतना आमकां एके वाटेंतल्यान डेवलपमेंट करपाक जाय. ती डेवलपमेंट आमी करपाक घेतल्या. पण आमी ताच बरोबर it is a sustainable development goal. We are on the 7th number. We have reached to the 4th. We are trying for the 2nd. Definitely will reach on the number 2 position. Definitely. I am very much confident for the last 2-3 years. We have very much worked to come on the sustainable development goal on the 2nd number at least. हांवें फक्त 2-3 गजाली म्हणजे बायोडायवर्सिटी बोर्ड खूब बरें काम करता आनी तांच्यांनी वेगवेगळ्यो गजाली करपा खातीर प्रयत्न केल्या. फाटले 4 वर्सां हांव लागच्यान प्रदीप सर मुकादमांक पळयता. म्हणजे आय थिंक if you survey for whole of the India, then one of the best biodiversity board is in Goa Biodiversity Board is doing the work. The first site which he has identified all over the India, which the first biodiversity site identified at the Sulla village. It is the first processing centers, and now today with the hand of the Dr. Vandana Shiva, the first seed bank of the Goa, they have inaugurated. It is a proud moment for me as a CM and for the Nilesh also as for the environment ministers. त्या खातीर हांव फक्त तुमच्या कडेन 2-3 गजाली जे आमी इन्फ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेवलपमेंट सगळें करताच, बायोडायवर्सिटी प्रिजर्व करपाचो सगळो प्रयत्न करता, बट तितूंतल्यान आमकां खूब जाण आमचेर वेगवेगळ्यो केसी घालता. आमी त्यो सगळ्यो फेस करता, ना म्हणना. तातूंतल्यानूच आमी वचत आसा, वेगवेगळ्या केसींनी वचत आसा. हांवें कित्याक सांगता म्हणजे स्टेटीचो खंयसरूच विचार कितेंच नश्ट करपाचो ना. कसलेच म्हणजे बायोडायवर्सिटी खंयच्याच बाबतींत नश्ट करपाचो बिलकूल मात सुद्दां विचार ना. बट एकदां आमी म्हणटा की एखाद्या दुसऱ्या प्रोजेक्टा खातीर वयता आसतना थोडोसो डेवलपमेंटल वेन फुडें वयता आसतना खंय तरी एखाद्या वेळी हांव म्हणटलो की डिस्ट्रक्शन हो आमच्या तकलेंत विचार ना, बट एखादें मुद्दामून म्हणजे ती झाडां आमी मुद्दाम पळयताले की हायवेचेर झाडां प्रिजर्व केल्ली पळय कोर्टाच्या ऑर्डरीत, ते दोनूय सायडींतले रस्ते केल्या उपरांत ऑटोमॅटिकली सगळीं परत झाडां मरून गेली. बट आफ्टर ऑल म्हणजे आमी जर डिस्कशनान सोल्युशन काडीत जाल्यार तें सोल्युशन येवपा खातीर तयार आसा. आनी त्या खातीर आमची वेगवेगळी ऑर्गनायजेशन्स ताजेर कामूय करता. आनी रिसेंटली whatever the moment we have started, the first is a Save Soil moment with the blessings of Sadhguruji. We had already started. On 20th, we are launching the program of the natural farming. It is a natural farm, प्राकृतिक शेतीचो प्रोजेक्ट आमी आता त्या 20 तारखेक हॉनरेबल गव्हर्नर ऑफ द गुजरात हांच्या कडल्यान आमी प्रोग्राम लॉन्च करता. आनी म्हाका दिसता प्रत्येक तालुका लेवलाचेर प्राकृतिक शेतीचे सेंटर आमी सुरू करपाचें आसा. तेजो जर आमी विचार केलो आसत जाल्यार डॉक्टर वंदना शिवा ज्या पद्दतीत सांगता आसत जाल्यार आमी गोंयांत म्हाका दिसता अशा पद्दतीत खूब ल्हान राज्य असल्या कारणान शेतकरी खूब वेल कनेक्टेड असल्या कारणान खूब बऱ्या पद्दतीत गोंय हे प्राकृतीक शेती करपी पयलें राज्य जावपाक शकता. पण ताका सपोर्ट सगळ्या लोकांचो जाय, शेतकऱ्यांचो जाय, बाकी सगळ्यांनी जर करीत जाल्यारूय तें पॉसिबल जातलें. आनी तुमी सगळे जाण करतले हाजी म्हाका अपेक्षा आसा. निश्चित त्या खातीर सेव सॉयल आसतलें, प्राकृतीक शेती आसतली आनी एडवान्स एक फुडें वचून आमी एग्रीकल्चर कॉलेज जी गव्हर्मेंटाची स्वताची सुरू एला फॉर्मान करता. इट इज टू डू द रिसर्च इनोवेशन्स इन दीस फील्ड ओनली. ह्या सगळ्या खातीर म्हाका दिसता आमी सरकाराक तुमी सगळ्यांनी विथ द हेल्प ऑफ द ICAR, CCAR आमचे Indian Coastal Agriculture Research Center at the Old Goa. The first time there is an integrated farming between the agriculture, horticulture, dairy and research, produce केलो research paper they have given. अशा पद्दतीचो रिसर्च आमी वेगवेगळ्या इन्स्टिट्यूशनांक घेवन जर केलो आसत जाल्यार हे पॉसिबल आसा. म्हाका दिसता सगळ्यांनी एकी कडेन येवन हे काम करपाची गरज आसा. आनी निश्चित रित्या ह्या मोमेंटात असलेले म्हणजे आज सचिनाची आमी हर्बल कोला जी आमी लॉन्च केली and which is appreciated by Dr. Vandana Shiva. Definitely, I think congratulations for Sachin also for your wonderful product. It is one of the best. It is I'll not say it is a replacement for some cola, but this is a unique cola. It is a unique cola. It is one of the best product. Pion सगळ्यांनी पळोवची त्या खातीर. It is an agri wasteांतल्यान केल्लो product. Nutmeg waste. Nutmeg apple that is this type of research and innovations in future also we are ready to support for this type of research. Really we have started one research center at our college levels. So definitely there is a good scope for our university level, college level. Those students are working in the agriculture and research at wherever in the state of Goa. So we will support them. So with this, I think the Goa Biodiversity Board had taken the good initiatives, and today they have started with the first seed bank of the Goa. In future also, whatever the support is required for the Goa Biodiversity Board, definitely the government will give. Once again, I am congratulating for Dr. Vandana Shiva. She all the way, especially you had come here, you had delivered your speech, you have motivated us. So definitely we are ready to work in future also, the Goa Biodiversity Board, to work with you under your guidance. The Goa Biodiversity Board will take the different and new project, so that will help for the states. Okay, sure. Then we are tying up with that Navadhanya. Yes. So तुमचो सगळ्यांचे सहकार्य जर आसत जाल्यार अशा पद्धतीची इनोव्हेशन स्टेटीत करपा खातीर आमकां चड लागचो ना. The guidance of Dr. Vandana Shiva मॅडम तांचे गायडन्स आसात. आमी सगळ्यांनी त्यांच्या कडल्यान म्हाका दिसता इन्स्पिरेशन्स घेवपाची गरज आसा. आमी जर मॅडमी कडेन पळयत जाल्यार म्हाका दिसता सगळ्यांनी त्या पद्दतीत फॉलो करपाची गरज आसा. निश्चित रित्या आमी सगळे जाण फॉलो करतले आनी गोंय राज्य हर तरेचे पॅरामिटर्स म्हणजे वरतना आमी सस्टेनेबल डेव्हलपमेंट गोलात 1 नंबराचेर पावतले अशेंच सांगता आनी म्हाजी 2 उतरां सोंपयता. देव बरें करूं.
खूब देव बरें करूं. आमचे ऑनरेबल CM डॉक्टर प्रमोद सावंत. कार्यक्रमान थोडोसो बदल आसा. इनफॅक्ट वी हॅव प्लॅन टू हॅव इंटरेक्शन विथ डॉक्टर वंदना शिवा अलॉंग विथ आवर मिनिस्टर एंड CM, बट okay, yeah. So we'll conclude this program first and then we'll have interactive session, right sir? We'll conclude this program and then we'll have interactive. Okay, 1 second, yeah. So I request MS to present a memento to Honorable CM, Dr. Pramodji Sawant. आमचो राज्य पक्षी, स्टेट बर्ड, रुपी थ्रोटेड आलो बुलबुल ही प्रतिकृती जी आसा पक्षाची ती रमण कुलकर्णी हांणी केल्या. तशेंच हांव MS डॉक्टर प्रदीप सरमुकदम हांचे लागीं मागता की ताणें ती प्रतिकृती निलेश काब्राल हांकां प्रेजेंट करची. आमी आमच्या ऑनरेबल मंत्र्यांक आनी मुखेलमंत्र्याक वचपाक परवानगी दिवया आनी मागीर वी विल स्टार्ट विथ द इंटरेक्टीव सेशन. Interactive session. Now the floor is open. We have 2 microphones here. Yeah. GSB, yeah, please. We will have questions from them or, yeah. Yes.
Good evening, ma'am. I'm Juliet, and I've been trying to save the seeds actually, and I tried the method of saving the seed by using hing, then cinnamon leaves and neem. Besides that, any other method is there? I would like to know from you. Storage of seeds for a longer lifetime, for a longer life shelf.
Yeah, the most important issue of saving seeds is, of course, the issue of moisture. And whatever you're adding, there are hundreds. I mean, we are so blessed in this country with so much biodiversity that helps pest control. Yeah, you talked about hing, you talked about neem. 11 years I fought a case against biopiracy of neem. America had patented it, said we've invented the use of neem for pest control. For 11 years, we fought them in the European Patent Office. And I'm happy to say that with no money, no economic power, no political power, 11 years of persistence for defending this country's intellectual heritage and biodiversity heritage, we defeated the biggest superpower and a big company. So yes, many, many plants, but I would welcome you to come to the Navdanya. And every October we do a course on return to earth, but throughout the year, you're welcome to come and learn the basics of what you need to do about seed saving, basics about ecological agriculture. Like I said, you call it what you name you want. Prakritik kheti or natural farming or organic farming or ecological agriculture or agroecology. But even how to grow biodiversity economies. I think whatever we've seen today has been initiatives of growing, including a cola, which is not a toxic cola, but a healthy cola. That these are all steps. And I hope the biodiversity richness of this state and the richness of intelligence and intellectual richness of the state will create the new economy that is a living economy that supports life and is supported by life.
Namaskar. I have a very specific question regarding Almix. This is something very recent which is happening to Goa. The pesticides which are being sprayed using drone technology. If you have any views on it, both from the minister, if I may request, from yourselves from Goa State Biodiversity Board, and we really need to know. This is also from you, madam. We are a big fan of yours from 30 years. And use of pesticides in spraying it through drone technology is raising a lot of hackles for us. Is it misplaced? That's the question, really.
Well, I think you asked the minister and you asked the member secretary of the Biodiversity Board. But from my point of view, I've dedicated now 38 years of my life growing a pesticide-free agriculture because of what happened to Punjab in '84 and what happened in Bhopal, where thousands of people were killed overnight. Bhopal should be a wake-up call that pesticides are not safe. So whether you spray them in your field or you spray them with a drone, which means it goes beyond your field, is for me just bad science and bad ecology. I do feel for those who are concerned about it, if people are using drones for spraying, they should file a case to say this spray is growing further, faster with a drone, and there should be regulations, and that's where the minister will then come in.
Well, agriculture director is there somewhere behind. Neville, where's Neville? Please stand up, let them see. So he is the director of agriculture for the state of Goa. Whatever is put forward, please do look into it, because I am not connected, but I'm part of the government, so please look into it. And what Dr. Vandana has said is she has been doing it without pesticides. So I think farmers are educated in this region, but somehow the concept that only if you put artificial fertilizer, then only we'll get more production. I was for a session when I think she forgot to say, I had mentioned it to her. She was talking about the carbon footprints, what everybody thinks of and says. But madam has told me in the morning, and I know about it also, is carbon footprints is not only the thing what we see, it is also richness in our nutritional value in our soil, what is there, and which has to be conserved. And by putting artificial fertilizer is not going to conserve. So I can always say, I remember Mr. Parikar used to say that watermelons of Parra, they used to be very good, tasty. And the size used to be very big when in his older days, 40 years back. And what the farmer used to do subsequently, because they were losing these seeds, then over a period of 30 years, they realized that their watermelons were shrinking. And whatever they were doing was not good enough. So they used to give the kids around to eat the watermelon, and they used to eat it free. And his condition was keep the seeds so that he could have a better plantation. This is how I think we all as individuals have to decide what is good for us. Government is here, but government cannot enforce all laws at one time. Because I can tell you as a law minister that if I enforce all laws, I will not move myself from the seat. So I think, as Dr. Vandana said, even if agriculture department and the farmers want an interactive section, and we have to send them to her farm, where from her own experience of 38 plus years, where she has not done anything with pesticides and come out with so many products and such big nutritional value products, I think we have to learn. That's all I can say. But anyway, Dr. Agriculture Director, Dr. Neville will take what you have said and take up what Dr. Vandana said also. Thank you.
And, I will just add that, a drone looks smart as a remote controlled technology, but it doesn't become a better pest control technology. And that's why we need to always assess the sphere of impact, assess the assessment in the system's perspective. What is it doing to the ecosystem? What is it doing to the social system? आप कुछ कहेंगे? No.
I'm Deepika D'Souza from Kurtori. Sir, it's good that we have programs like this. We need to save our biodiversity, but on the other side, the rate at which our laws are changing, like our new land development law, or the kind of so-called development that we see, is actually, it's like at cross currents. It's like at one level, if I want to lose weight, I go to the gym for 2 hours and then I come back and have 2 burgers, batata vadas and 3 milkshakes. The point that I'm trying to make is that the larger development that Goa state government is pushing onto us is not in line with what the general public wants. Whether we see the cases of the concretization that we see in the north today, the kind of projects, whether it's IIT, the local people again and again are saying we do not want this development. Climate change, as a minister, we know we have to have a paradigm shift. So unless we have to think, Goa is a small state, and we can say that we want to try a new, you need a paradigm shift. You can't work in this system and conserve biodiversity on a large scale, because our very land is being taken over.
Well, I think the questions were for her. I am there always here. But anyhow, since you put it up, I will just say that, see, this is a draft notification. It's not yet finalized. What you're saying about what has just come up, you put your views there, our views will be there. And it's a policy decision that it's a draft notification for 60 days, where you can put in your views and views of the people. But ultimately, as we all say, as you are saying, we are here. When I was born 50 years back, we had a population of hardly 4.5–5 lakh in the state of Goa. Today we are 3 times the population. And individually each one has his own views. Some of this population which is born here is also migrated from the state. And if you find, see, I always tell, I'll be very open, I don't want to hide anything. Maybe some policies the government does over a period of time, or is doing or will do, will always have contradictions. But I find that from a village what I come from, is there used to be the social stigma, socially, we used to have everybody in that village and we did not have to depend on another village in the side. But those are not the parameters anymore. So I think we are also responsible for things which are changing and the parameters. But what you said has a point. I will bring it to the Honourable Chief Minister's notice. But that draft notification what has come is there for you to put your suggestions, objections and take it up forward. That is the first point about the change in the laws of the TCP. The second thing you said about IIT. Well, I come from the constituency which is very close to it. That 7.5 lakh square meters is government land. Yes, there is a apprehension that there's land at the side, some pockets of land which is in the 7.5 lakh square meters were cultivated. Now, if you tell me there are 10 owners, out of those 10 owners, none of them are growing in the 7.5 lakh square meters. What is happening is outside the 7.5 lakh square meters of land where IIT is supposed to come. Anyway, your point taken, I will note, I will see what we can do and we'll see how to do it. Thank you. You're welcome. You can come and give your views. Biodiversity board is there. Please, you are welcome with your suggestions. See, ultimately it is not you and me as individuals. It has to be everybody who has to be part of it. My views, your views has to be shared, no doubt. Like Dr. Vandana has been sharing her views, her thoughts, taking a lot of moments forward, and that's how she is well versed with a lot of other things which have happened. And as she has said, 11 years she took without the support of the political front, and she got what she went for. So it is always there. Political class is there. You are there. We are there. Your views, of course. And I said before also, pesticides is not we are looking at. Even Zuari agrochemicals, though it was started many years back, today they have also changed their pesticides into organic pesticides, if you are aware. I don't know whether you are aware. Now they are selling organic pesticides. In my own constituency, they have put up a shop where they are selling organic pesticides. So concept is changing from what it was before. And people like you are required in society, and we are all here to help you. Please be free. I'm there always for you. But the questions today are for her. Another question can be taken. I think she has a time. Thank you. Yeah, please. The mic.
I have a. Would you like to go first? Go ahead.
I think instead of asking
Sanjeev.
you need to have more questions to Dr. Vandana Shiva.
Yes,
Not to
yes,
me.
absolutely.
I'm available.
Exactly.
You can come already.
Please.
Sanjeev, huge fan of yours, madam. We understand that as little as perhaps 6 to 10% of the food that's consumed in Goa comes locally. Rest everything comes from outside, and we've been working in this space trying to figure out what can we do to change that, because food coming from outside is not in season in region. It's all packaged. We're left with plastic here in Goa to deal with, and lots of health challenges. What's your advice to a fertile, beautiful, biodiverse state such as Goa to bring back a component of local foods here?
Well, I think the food festival and food exhibition downstairs is a very good example. Since the Punjab days of monoculture, agriculture, assuming that Punjab will poison itself to poison the rest of the country, we've had the baggage of an agriculture of dependency. But that model is totally failing. It's failing Punjab. It's failing wherever it's gone. Africa, they took the Green Revolution, and it's failing Africa right now. The biodiversity-rich state of Goa, fertile, abundant rain, sometimes too much of it. I think more decentralization, much more decentralization, and with it, more diversity. Definitely not thinking there's only rice and wheat, but seeing all the other. And as it is the culture of gardens, all the Goan houses have a little patch of land. They used to be within the farm from my early memories of the 70s. I think gardens everywhere, including community gardens. And definitely wherever in a state initiative has been taken to shift the PDS system and the midday meal scheme system and the CSDS, the vulnerable populations that are fed, if that public money is used for feeding poor and vulnerable people healthy food, and with it rewarding the farmers who grow diverse and healthy food, every state has its own policy. And it is something that could be done in, all the dishes you were teaching. Why shouldn't children in the schools be eating that? Why shouldn't people in hospitals be tasting that wonderful thing? And I think these are policy discussions that need a lot of citizen participation, but biodiversity is the foundation, and your food and cultural legacy is your foundation. That, when Dr. Sneha visited Navdanya, and she wanted to have an interaction with the farmers for the seed bank, and the one other thing is, I said, do a food festival of all the biodiversity foods of Goa, because these things help you remember how rich your legacy of food is. And once we turn to that, we both avoid the chemically produced food that is obviously cheap, not because it was produced more cheaply, but it is more subsidized. The subsidy issue, we've done a book which shows that there's the externalities of India's chemical farming are $1.3 trillion in terms of farmers' incomes and environment. And if you add chronic diseases, it's about 3.5. It's more than our GDP is the externalities. So we need the true cost accounting, and all of you can play a role in this. But because all of us eat, and the vulnerable get food through public support, through our taxes, I think redesigning both of those, our own eating and the public food system, that is the place where we can start to reduce the dependency. Right now, the dependency is from another state. But what I talked about, a future of fake food. You know, India was taken to the WTO for feeding her people. The US multinational said, no, how come they don't buy from us? You know, how are they buying from their farmers? So food has become, you know, Kissinger had said, food is a weapon. And it's being used as a weapon. And I think we need to create food peace. Peace with our bodies for health, peace with the soil for the regeneration of the earth, and peace within communities. I don't think the land and soil of Goa will forgive her people if she does not reclaim her food sovereignty through regenerating her biodiversity.
I think the last question we can take.
Oh, thank you. I'll try and make it as brief as I can. I've been in the business of alternative solutions for pest management in agriculture and over almost 30 years. And I know that there are solutions because we produce them and we provide it to the farmers. Unfortunately, just like you said just now, the subsidizing system by the government defeats the purpose because the farmer would always like to try and get a cheaper rate somewhere, or the products have to be sold through the government system, which really doesn't work. On another question, specifically for Goa, biodiversity, you rightly pointed out, meant that you've got to save the forests. This is I would say Goa has such a unique biodiversity that you cannot quarrel between feeding the poor and at the expense of taking away the forest. And it's happening as we speak. I visit the forest, I visit farmers in the forest and to talk and speak with them. And they don't wish to take the forest away, but they're economically so starved by opportunities, and their children are so starved of opportunities. And that's where I think state government has failed and continues to fail, to provide them the opportunities within their own realm to produce and provide for themselves. They will protect the forest. Without that symbiotic way of managing forests over here, Goa is going to be hard-pressed to lose it. There's an organization called Living Heritage, which apparently has won a case against the government trying to cut the forest trees down. And the way the government has solved that problem is to change the law so that the entire case falls apart. So while we talk and use catchphrases like biodiversity, on the ground, it is rapacious, and it's not going to work. Thank you.
That's not a question to her. And no, I will just say so. I will take more details of what you have said. I will ask Dr. Pradeep to take more details of what you are saying. But I will just add to what you have just said. See, this Go When brand is basically one brand. What we have started is to allow people, what you say, the vulnerable section which is there in the forest, to give their produce to us, which we sell for them. Now there is another question where we say that organic, now that is pure organic, and these are all organic stuff. Now you require every product, you require organic certification. As part of the government, the Goa Biodiversity Board and the brand Go When we are certifying this as organic stuff. So that is why a person who is producing in the forest, or his or her product is not being sold, we are part of their livelihood. So you can tell us where, you can tell Dr. Pradeep, we will get involved to see whatever they produce there, we will find people who can buy like you, we can package them for them, and that is what we are doing. That is one. Secondly, biodiversity, I'm talking about we have under agriculture, we have a lot of Goa horticulture units. I know what you're saying, that what he said, gentleman said also, that we are bringing more of our produce from outside. We are tying up with the local farmers. Now, local farmers have something where they try to do what is required for them in their particular field, and they grow in abundance. So we are trying to, I think Agriculture Department and Horticulture Department are trying to source what is required for the state of Goa. And if that is, I think chilies now are not being brought from outside the state of Goa. Then there are other products which are now being less brought. So if the farmers themselves get involved in growing what is required for Goa, I think his problem will be solved, and what you say also will be solved, because Horticulture Department is giving minimum assured support price to the Agriculture Department for the farmers of Goa. That is what the government can assure them. I know MSP is not there in other parts of the country, but Goa by itself, minimum assured prices are there. If Neville can correct me if I'm wrong. And some of the products which we are taking them. So the farmer does not suffer. We take them, and then some of our products which is abundant here also, we are, the same vehicles which are coming from outside the state, we are sending the products there, especially for chilies. So it's not that we are not doing anything, we are doing, but if your suggestions are there, they are welcome, and the farmers whom we are saying are deprived, get in touch with Dr. Pradeep. I will see that they are not deprived. Thank you.
Hello.
Thank you. Yeah.
Sir, I come from a small village, Mirses.
Please try to be brief. Yeah.
Will you please stand up, please, wherever you are.
I come from a small village, Mirses, which is very
This is the
close
last
to
question. Yeah.
Panjim. It starts from Pato. And some time back, government had separated Pato from Mirses and put in Panjim. And they have put the Pato Plaza. If you go to the papers, it's all supposed to be marshy land where the Korgud was grown. I have come, especially I got the thought because you was presented the Korgud rice, which was grown abundantly in Mirses. And Goa government acquired that land around 1,77,000 square meters and destroyed around 12 lakh square meters of Mirses fields. Now if you see every paper from RTI, the lands have been acquired for different projects. First, the court has come on Mirses Kazan land. Now your Pato 2 is coming. Then the collectorate building, all this and another Parivartan Bhavan and some more are all on Kazan land. Government is only dumping the government projects in Kazan land, which is destroying the ecosystem. Now you will say the people are not growing the fields.
Your question, please. Yeah.
Yes, I want to know how government is going to preserve the Kazan lands and whether they have the policy for preservation.
Kazan lands preservation. See, I remember Vishnu Wagh when he was there. He was part of the constituency then. He was trying to have a board. Recently, we have mapped Kazan lands in the CRZ plan. And I think the CRZ plan, which is now 2011, which was notified in 2011, is notified in 2022. I think in that, if you go to that plan, whatever lands we can save, I think that is part of the saving culture what we have inherited, and we are going to save those Kazan lands. What was shown, where I don't know the exact number, I don't know, I can't recollect, but I think it is more than 2 times what we had put into the system now, where we are going to protect them. Now comes the buns which are to be protected. If you are, I don't know, I'm not old enough, but my father, my mother, they were also farmers, and I used to hear stories that the farmers who had fields along the buns, they used to maintain their buns. Now how these buns have broken and how lands which were not Kazan then, but they were fertile lands, I think that question I'll put back to you. How has it happened? I don't know. So, yeah, whatever act, and it is Tenancy Act was given for the land for the farmers. You can't just say Tenancy Act. It was given to protect the rights of the farmers. But somehow the generations, the father could not control his son for doing what he was doing in the previously. I think we have to accept the fact that our generations have changed. And what we have put in, you go to the CRZ plan, we will find how we have protected it. If not, you can come and sit with me, I'll show it to you. What is acquired and already changed, I cannot assure you anything. But what is there to be protected is what we have done in the CRZ plan, is we have confirmed in CRZ areas wherever cousins, and it is almost 3 times what was shown before in 1996. So I can share it with you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yeah. Are we taking it or? Please, be fast. We sir.
Okay, Doctor, I'm Eleuterio Carnero. I'm a Biodiversity member of Naveli Village Panchayat Biodiversity Committee, and I'm a teacher by profession. Now, just to summarize, many people have raised about the food and all, and since it is a biodiversity board, in fact, I was, CM was here. I'm just sharing this thought, so you can also, Dr. Vandana can share on that. As we say, the food which we consume is from the neighboring states, and we speak about the biodiversity, lot of things are there. I think we need to change the syllabus, education pattern from the basic level, from the school level. Because what we have, it is the old system, the syllabus, which was during my parents. Now I went through that. I'm a teacher there now. My children passed through that. And we have now national education policy. But this national education policy does not speak about anything all about this in more. What I feel like, the child from Kotigaon or some forest area is given education, it's shown a vision that they can become an engineer or they can become someone else, a doctor, and living their biodiversity, they acquire that knowledge, they go through that education, and when they acquire that certain profession and then the job, they go and dwell in the concrete box in the city and all, forgetting the biodiversity about the village, forgetting their forefathers and parents growing that agriculture and all. So I think all this need to be in the school system, basic education, where they can learn about the biodiversity, make a career in that, or grow their own food, organic food, market within the Goa, where one thing in our mindset, it is like when you are educated, you can make money, you can become engineer, you can become doctor, or all those things. But we need to remove that from our mindset. Even the son of a farmer can be a good progressive farmer. If father is producing just 5 kg of chilies, the same farmer's son with a good education can produce tons of chilies. So I think this liking through the education need to be changed in the school curriculum. And this need to be done with the help of Biodiversity Board. As CM said, the teachers need to be 24/7 research. In a school, there are mathematics teachers, there are social science, history, geography, all various subjects. But into 24/7 to do research, mathematics, social science, history, geography need to be combined with this biodiversity. And then only we can see a self-sustainable Goa and some good generation where this chipko can be in Goa.
Yeah, ma'am.
Thank you very much for that very important issue you've raised. You know, the education system we have is what was put together in colonial times. And it was basically to produce clerks. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that clerical mindset we have retained. Whereas our indigenous education system, what Tagore tried to regenerate through Shanti Niketan, he called it the Eastern University of the Forest. You know? And he said we have to learn from nature. Nature has to be the teacher. Because through that, you learn about biodiversity. Through that, you learn how you can have a vocation in your village. You don't have to abandon your home or your state. That's also the reason we've created the Earth University at Navdanya. And you know, that's why we offer courses about how do you live a life of satisfaction and well-being and health without predating on the earth and other people's resources. I think the issue of the story of land grab has become a global story, and Mr. Bill Gates, who's supposed to have been a Mr. Microsoft only, is now the biggest farmland owner of America and wants to control the agriculture of the world in one agriculture. But the book we've done, my son and I, Oneness versus 1%, has, it literally, at that time he started talking about controlling agriculture. So we definitely need every child to know how to grow their food. That's why, at least where we are, in Dehradun, in Delhi, we have asked schools to create edible gardens everywhere, gardens of hope in every school. And that's something the Biodiversity Board can easily do, but not just growing the food, all the wild foods and plants that are edible. Every child of Goa, if they grow up learning that, can you imagine how much knowledge they will have, the knowledge we need in this time. Thank you.
Thank you.
My wife also, both are teachers. We are fine arts graduates, we are drawing teachers. And what happens when we go with our drawing subject and we, after our school hours, we go and discuss later.
Yeah. Please, we are running out of time.
We go around to make awareness. We conduct workshop and all. But in the school syllabus,
It doesn't matter.
yeah, in the school syllabus, only certain subjects are introduced under work education and all. It is not possible. I mean to say, sir.
Yes, thank you.
It needs to be a full-fledged something.
I will tell you.
In fact, we have...
one second, I'll just answer to his question. See, that is what the new education policy is about. You are not aware, I'm sorry to say. The new, no, let me finish. It is just a nasal stage. What the new education policy is to, what Madam has said, is to change that mindset of a clerical staff. You see, what is happening is, today the new education policy is going to be focused on a child who maybe all cannot be doctors, all cannot be engineers, but at a certain level they can be good farmers, they can be having other good skill sets. So skill is going to be part of the system, and I know what you are saying is part of this new education policy. I can, maybe in another 2 years time you will understand what the government is to be done. Subjects are no more going to be 5 or 6 which is being taught. The child after the age of what today is 5th standard, he is going to decide what they want. What you are saying, I will add. No, I'm just saying 5, 6. What you can introduce first is fund. I will tell Honorable CM what you have said, but I'm just telling you. When I was in school, we used to learn community living. What is community living? Community living. And garbage management, if you see today, I come from a constituency for the last 13 years, I'm collecting garbage door to door, free of cost from my constituency, 14 years, from every person's house. But still I find people throwing out. What I can do for that? Hit them, find them? No. But it's a part of a system. What you said, I will share with Honorable CM, and what you are saying is absolutely right. We have to involve the younger generation. We will work in this. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
No. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yeah. It's, in fact, it's very rare occasion wherein we have a policy maker and the environmentalist on the same days. So I think we have to salute Goa State Biodiversity Board for having Dr. Vandana Shiva and our policy makers, Honorable CM and Honorable Environment Minister on the same days. Thank you, sir. In fact, there is one more lady who is very instrumental in organizing this program, and I have to introduce her. She is Dr. Sneha Bhagwat. Very enthusiastic, very proactive, karyakarta in her own field of Ayurvedic medicine, yoga, health, environment, whatnot. I was just referring to her Facebook page today. She said, one of my dreams comes to today of having or developing seed bank concept in this tiny state of Goa. Heads off, Dr. Sneha, keep it up. Of course, she said it was not possible without the help and support of like-minded people like you, various groups and association. Then she thanked CM Dr. Pramod Sawant, then Environment Minister Nilesh Cabral, Director, definitely Goa State Biodiversity Board, MS Dr. Pradeep Sir Mukadam and all. So Sneha, it's over to you for vote of thanks.
Whatever happens to seed affects the web of life. If you are doing the right thing for the earth, she is giving you a great company. Seed is not just the source of life, it is the very foundation of our being. With these words of today's session and the whole day that we had about inaugurating the first community seed bank, later inaugurating the Shopee of Goan, Navdanya, organic products, local products made by our own women entrepreneurs. Followed by that, the traditional food festival, which we want to name like a My Bhumi festival, where in all the vegetables, wild fruits, vegetables, along with traditional dishes, were exhibited as well as given a chance to public to taste. All this happened only because of a small thought that came to our mind, and with the interaction of Dr. Vandana Shiva in Navdanya at Earth University in Dehradun. So first of all, my big gratitude, thanks, and thanks is not the word, it is just a lifelong gratitude that I would offer from myself, and I think from the whole community of Goa who is like-minded in preserving the traditional seeds, the indigenous seeds of Goa, as well as the wild vegetables and the biodiversity of Goa. So I thank Madam Dr. Vandana Shiva from my bottom of my heart on behalf of each and everyone from the community of Goa, from Biodiversity Board, and every one of us present here. Thank you so much. Of course, the association, the thought, and the interaction doesn't stop there. It goes ahead to the different government authorities, to the different political policies, and the decision making in the government section. So the first, our Honorable Dr. Pramod Sawant sir, CM of Goa. He was very kind enough to listen to my thought, to understand what we need to do in Goa and what could be the step forward. And as assured here on these days, on this floor, he is, or the whole policy decision makers are with the public of Goa. And I wholeheartedly thank Dr. Pramod Sawant, CM of Goa, for accepting and for nurturing this thought and making this day a grand success as well as a reality. Thank you so much, Dr. Pramod Sawant sir, Honorable CM of Goa. Our Environment Minister, Sri Nilesh Kabral sir, he was also very much understanding, kind enough, and also proactive, because we had a date of 14 September, which was a date wherein Dr. Vandana Shiva would visit Goa. So she had already planned this, and we had to do all this before, in a fast forward process. And that could happen only because of such policy decision makers who are having such power and who can make the actual dreams come true. So I wholeheartedly once again thank our Honorable Minister for Environment and Climate Change, Sri Nilesh Kabral sir, for making this our dream a reality, and also offering the farmers of Goa or whoever who is interested in farming biodiversity a special course which is available in Navdanya Earth University, giving a funding or financial support to these students, to the farmers, to visit this Navdanya and Earth University. I think it's a great opportunity, and on behalf of each and every farmer, enthusiast, environmental enthusiast, I thank Sri Nilesh Kabral sir for giving us or keeping in front of us this opportunity. Thank you so much, sir. And Dr. Pradeep Sarmukadam sir, he's a member secretary of Goa Biodiversity Board. I think Goa Biodiversity Board only lives because of his energy. He's the lifeline of Goa Biodiversity Board. And he makes the Goa Biodiversity Board a real interesting, not only for the people of Goa, but also for the people who are working with him, because I could feel this energy, I could feel the enthusiasm and the zest that he has for Goa to improve the Goa biodiversity in each and every sense. So I'm in depth, I should say, to Dr. Pradeep Sir Mukadamji, because he's wonderful person, and he has his whole heart for nature and for Goa biodiversity. So thank you so much, Dr. Pradeep, for making this again a reality. Of course, when I'm a member of Rotary Club of Margao Sunrise, when I put forward my thought to our club members, they were also very much enthusiastic, and they all supported the cause of traditional food festival. So Rotary Club of Margao Sunrise, in association with Goa Biodiversity Board, has organized this traditional food festival. So all my board members, all my club members who are present here, I would like to offer a big thank you to you to support me as a president to come forward and give a helping hand and associate Rotary Club of Margao Sunrise to this traditional festival. Thank you so much. And last but not the least, all the members, my close friends who are present here, my partners, Mrs. Tejashri Pai, Dr. Vaijayanti Khare, we have a Rotarian, Mr. Agarwal ji, and all my colleagues, whoever are here present today with all the thoughts and like-mindedness for being for Goa biodiversity and preserving Goa's natural content, the uniqueness, as said, as and when possible. So thank you for making a valuable time for visiting, and especially the participants of Traditional Food Festival, because they are so much energetic that they have got all these dishes cooked. Maybe they have gone to the, to the farms and to the forests and plucked these themselves and got this cooked. It is a great, great thing that they have done to showcase all these traditional foods to the public of Goa. So we should definitely thank all these participants, because they have done it with their whole heart and they want to preserve the culture and tradition of Goa. So I thank each and every participant who was here for the Traditional Food Festival, and the staff, the associate team members of Goa Biodiversity Board. Ms. Samiksha is here, and so many people who are really a power for making this function a grand success. So thank you, each one of you, and the press and electronic media, because this message has to reach to the public who is not here and who wants to be a part of this great movement. And I think we all should be a part of this great movement. Just being in the government does not help, but being with the government, making the government policies work as the public needs, is the change that we all need to bring to preserve and save Goa. Thank you so much, one and all, and have a good evening. Yeah.
No, I just want to say about you. The energy that she has put in to organize this program, I think one big round of applause to Dr. Sneha first. Yeah. A small announcement. गोंयकारांक च्या जायच. Program जाल्यानंतर सगळ्यांक च्याची व्यवस्था केल्या. There is high tea. Please have it with us and before going. Thank you. Yeah.
One small thing, we have to gift him a hamper for being a good compeer. Subhash Zand.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Pleasure. Thank you. Sir, just one snap. Snap.
शिणीपासून रेवणापासून सगळे गाव आले आपापल्या आयडी घेऊन आल्या Yes.
बाबा येयला म्हणतो तू थंयच राव
तायकिळ्याची कुडुकीची कापण्याची भाजी लड्डू
तीन आयटम हय हे दोन्ही हाडला हे आनी हे तीन सुरेखान आनी तेजे दवरता हय हे काडटा नांव पुरी मातशें सर आमचें